Welcome. You are now tuned in to the Indie LA Experience.
The podcast that brings independent artists together.
Sharing their experiences in Los Angeles, everything from center stage to behind the scenes.
Giving emerging talent a platform to showcase their journey.
This is
Indie LA.
Welcome, listeners, to the Indie LA podcast. I'm your co-host, Marcus Johnson.
And I'm Aaron Van Cleave. We're live today in the studio with you.
Yeah, and Aaron, I just want to talk a bit about how you and I met. We met on a cruise ship. I was a saxophonist performing in an orchestra, and you were a figure skater. So I know you as this professional ice skater. You briefly talked to me about doing competitions, and now you are in this whole other world of film production. Give me a little backstory on how you got into film.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, I kind of grew up skating most of my life. Started very young, wanted to play hockey. Got into skating as a way to just kind of better my hockey skills.
Oh.
But kind of fell in love with figure skating as well.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Transitioned over to that full time and was a full-time competitive athlete. I was on the national team in Canada and also in Germany, world championships, Olympic level. Did that
amazing
growing up, and then transitioned when I retired from competition over to shows.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of had an early point in my career when I was 18, 19, where training and things weren't going that well. I was a pair skater, so I've always skated with somebody out on the ice. So it's always been kind of a team sport for me.
Oh, I get you.
And just things weren't really clicking. And I kind of had a point where I knew that it was going to come to an end at some point. I kind of had that realization at some point early on that, body's only going to do this for so long.
Exactly.
Anything could happen at any time where, this could end and, what's next for me. And I knew I wanted to do something outside of sport. I'd always been very creative growing up.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of drawing, writing, was very visual in general. And, the artistry of skating has always kind of been a part of the sport that I loved.
Yeah.
So I knew I wanted to do something that was a little bit more on the creative side. Definitely had a passion for film. So like I said, when I was 18, 19, I kind of had a little bit of a break there. And I just decided to take this random trip down to Los Angeles.
Wow.
Hopped on the Greyhound, took a 2.5-day bus ride
Jeez.
down here to LA, which was kind of an experience all by itself. But
right.
I just wanted to kind of throw myself a little bit into the culture down here, a little bit more the movie culture. I'm up from Canada,
Mm-hmm.
in Edmonton, where it's not really a big thing.
Okay.
So I kind of wanted to immerse myself, come down to Hollywood, see what it's all about. Took some classes while I was here, took some acting classes, saw tons of movies, went to the museums, just kind of tried to immerse myself.
Yeah.
And see if it, sparked anything for me. And
it did.
Yeah, that trip was absolutely like kind of a life-changing experience for me. And I definitely knew what I wanted when I left here.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you being immersed in that culture is kind of what awoken that passion.
Absolutely. I mean, it was definitely there, but it kind of made it more real and like, this is it. Yeah.
That's awesome. What was the bug that bit you to like get into like ice skating? Because that's a trade that is pretty rare.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I grew up in Canada. Winter sports, ice sports are definitely a very part of our culture.
Okay, yeah.
Up there. And I really wanted to be a hockey player. I was kind of set on being a goaltender.
Okay.
That's how I started in hockey.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
When I was 9 years old. But I wasn't very good on the ice yet. So my mom at the time knew the skating coach at the club where we played.
Mm-hmm.
So I just got into skating lessons at first just to kind of better my my abilities as a hockey player.
Right.
But I kind of progressed through that really quickly. So they decided to kind of push me a little bit into the figure skating side of things as well.
Oh, wow.
And I guess just the learning curve was quite steep at that time.
I bet. Yeah.
And it just started progressing really quickly, and it quickly became kind of an equal thing for me as far as hockey and skating.
Okay.
But I think it was just like the artistic side of skating. I did do pair skating most of my career, but I started out as a single skater. And I think at the time, even as a goaltender, you're on a team, but it's like a little bit more individual.
Yeah.
I
can see that.
You like have a little bit more in control of what you do out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that part and the artistry side of it just kind of drew me. And I went from there. Eventually left hockey in the rear view and just kept going with skating.
Yeah, wow. That's incredible.
So even though I decided at the time not to pursue film right away, and to kind of continue with my skating career
Yep.
while I could, while my body was able, and I still had the drive and the passion for it. Eventually, my skating did kind of transition to the entertainment side of it,
Yep.
where I was performing professionally, which is what took me to cruise ships,
Mm-hmm.
which is where I met you while
Yeah.
you were playing saxophone, performing
Yeah.
with the live orchestra.
I had no idea there was going to be an ice rink on there, on that thing.
Most people look at you that way. You're like, where do you perform? You're like, oh, at sea on a cruise ship.
Yeah,
So,
right. Yeah. With the orchestra, that was an experience for me. Kind of where I grew up, there's not many opportunities for music. Most people branch out and they move out to big cities. They move out to Chicago, New York, or Los Angeles. And the cruise ship was a means for me to be able to make some money, without having to pay rent, getting fed for free. That was a way for me to transition out of living from where I grew up in the Midwest, Grand Rapids, Michigan, into something a little bit more musically inclined, So, when I was on the ship, that was an experience. I got a call from a guy. I was gonna not do music for a while, actually. I was like pinched for a job. I had applied at a couple of retail stores, actually.
Okay.
I get a call after months of auditions, sending in tapes, trying to learn the flute, the clarinet, those side instruments that saxophonists typically play. Months and months of back and forth, like emailing and auditioning. And I get a call saying, hey, we got a position on a cruise ship. You'd fly out from Detroit to Barcelona in 6 days. Can you do it? And I just I took a leap of faith. It was definitely like a big step for me. But I had been preparing for it like all summer. I got the call in the fall, and within a week, I was on a plane heading overseas. That was I had only flew probably a flight of like 2 hours before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, within the U.S. and to take that flight from Detroit out to Barcelona was incredible. I got experience on the ship performing with musicians from everywhere. That sort of influence is what drove me to want to move out. At first it was going to be New York for me.
Okay.
For a long while, I thought, I'm a jazz head. I went to jazz school. Majored in jazz performance. I gotta get out there and in the city. Like this is the place where people work on this type of music. But a buddy of mine, he had been living out here for a while in LA and telling me about some of the experiences outside of music, some of the nature experiences, some of the opportunities out there, and I kind of got drawn towards like that idea a little bit more. It was kind of like a toss up, a flip of a coin for me between New York and LA. But ultimately, I think I definitely made the right decision.
I feel like that's a decision a lot of people make.
Yeah,
in our industry, which way to go, East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah. So I chose West, and I've been out here for 7 years now, and I haven't looked back. I haven't regretted it a bit. So
kind of jumping back to that cruise ship experience. You said prior to that you were kind of looking at other jobs and stuff, even though you had studied music. You were involved in music. You were almost going to be doing something completely different.
Almost going to just transition out completely. I had worked so hard in school, practicing, taking different classes to sort of get as many different skills, reading music, writing music, performing. After all of those auditions and all of those, getting declined so often, I was like, maybe this is not for me. Like maybe this is not the thing. I was just gonna stick around, and in the back of my mind, I always imagined that maybe I'd still do a little bit of something.
Like you'd come back to it at some point.
But I actually canceled an interview with one place after getting the call. After getting the Barcelona call. So, I'm very thankful for that opportunity, because that's kind of the first big step into my journey out here.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I know for me, having done the ships, also I did about 6 years on the ships performing, and had the opportunity to be a part of some of the new shows that they built. you know, and getting to be a part of that production side of things, where you build out a live show from scratch, and you get to see kind of all the behind the scenes, was also kind of for me a great experience that also re-solidified the fact that I knew I wanted to get into production.
It's influential
and stuff in the film and television scene, but also just the fact that you know, how many people go looking for a job on a cruise ship to begin with,
right?
And you know, you weren't looking for it. I wasn't really looking for it. It just kind of seemed like an idea at the time.
Yeah.
How it kind of drove both of us, you know, further into what we actually want to do here in the industry.
Exactly.
All right, so you said it was between LA and New York for you.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, two very different lifestyles.
Very different
lifestyles. So what really made the decision for you to come to LA versus New York? And
you know,
what is it specifically that you feel like out here in LA is kind of helping you get where you need to go?
Yeah, well, first of all, both areas amazing. I'm sure that you know, if I chose the East Coast, that it still would have developed me as a musician, as an artist, in ways that that really would have like helped my career. But I think that like the thing that you and I bonded over, film and just like the production, acting too, that sort of like drew my attention as well. And I knew that was a little bit more present in Los Angeles. So I think that was sort of one of the deciding factors for me, the option of having multiple trades, you know. Because when I came out here, I did take, I audited an acting class like as well.
Okay.
But I have desires to, you know, produce and film, to score films, to, you know, I treat everything that I've learned like out here as sort of like a tool or a means to get to like an ultimate goal, which is to produce as many of my passions as possible, whether it's music, podcasting, film. So that was kind of my reasoning to choose Los Angeles. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And you've been out here 6 years now. I know. I think when I met you, that was your last run with the cruise ships. I believe you moved out here right after that contract.
Yeah, I took a week. I was home a week, and yeah, I flew out just on a whim. I had a couple $1,000 and a dream.
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember being really excited for you.
Yeah,
and almost a little bit jealous that you were making the jump,
Yeah.
and I was sticking around on board for a while.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
After being out here now for 6 years,
Yep.
and like you said, you've kind of been very multifaceted. Yeah, you've done a lot of different things, you know, that are kind of all helping you towards your goal.
Yep.
Would you say that you expected to be doing so many different things when you came out here?
Not at all. Not at all. When I even when I was in school, it was saxophone. I was going to be a performing saxophonist. I was going to have a band. I was going to tour. It was kind of only music based. Like I didn't imagine picking up field recording, podcast editing,
Being on the other side of the mic.
yeah, exactly. All these other things. Yeah, like behind the scenes kind of. But all of these trades have sort of helped me understand the process like as a whole, you know. I think that reaching my hand into each one of these like endeavors, I am able to apply like what I learn from each one into something else too. So yeah, I never pictured doing as many things like as I do out here. You know, a couple months back, I had a gig running a soundboard,
Okay.
and you know, I had always just kind of looked at like the sound guys as kind of like my little helpers when I'm on stage. You know, like I'm performing the horn, like make me sound good, right? And I had no idea like what I was asking for at the time, and now I have a better understanding of that. So when I go into a situation where I'm the performer, I know exactly what to ask for. I know how to connect. You know,
You have a respect for the whole process and what's happening.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a respect for like the entirety of production. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I feel like so many people move out here, you know, because they want to make it, whether that's in film, TV, music. You know, a lot of people are drawn to LA for that reason.
Yeah.
But I'm a pretty firm believer that nobody gets there on their own.
Yeah.
You know,
Not at all.
Absolutely. It's like it's the connections you're building along the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you said, it's all those little jobs and things that you've done that have kind of sharpened your skills and given you the tools to succeed in, you know, what's next for you.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'll admit when I first moved out here, that was my thought process. Was that I'm gonna make it out here alone. I'm going to get all of these gigs by myself.
Yep.
I'm going to produce all of these albums in every fashion, recording, editing, mixing, mastering. I'm going to do this, and that, and the other on my own. Like that's what I imagined going in here.
That's the mindset.
That was the mindset, you know, and yeah, to be honest, the more I reached out to people, the more questions I asked, the more connections I made, the easier my life has been, and the more rewarding my experience, like as a whole, has been, like here. So yeah, it's not about tackling things, you know, on your own. You do have to take that leap, I feel.
Sure, making that commitment to
Yeah.
yourself and to what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. But the process of networking and creating those relationships, like that's the most powerful thing, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it, you know, you can get there that much quicker in a lot of ways too.
Mm-hmm.
When you learn how to work with other people
Yeah.
and collaborate, and you have that help. You know, people need help. One thing I think skating taught me, you know, getting to a very high level.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wouldn't have gotten there by myself.
Yeah.
You know, whether it was mentally, physically, emotionally, financially. You know, I had a lot of people throughout my career who helped me along the way as mentors, as coaches, you know, with financial situation of just the cost of training in the sport.
Right.
You know, I even though it's a very individual sport,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's so many people that were involved along the way that helped me get there. And, you know, it's no different in what we do now.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're a single solo recording artist, like you said, there's someone behind the soundboard, there's someone mixing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people around you that are helping.
It takes a village.
Yeah, bring this thing together and make it happen. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let's track back to that, Aaron. How did figure skating, the lessons that you've learned there, apply to other aspects in your life?
That's a good question. I think sport in general is good for anybody. It's, you know, it's definitely helped me when it comes to things like setting goals.
Yeah.
You know, having a plan.
The discipline.
Yeah, the discipline. Figuring out how you're gonna achieve the next goal, how you're gonna get to the next level. It's very competitive. Falling, yeah, getting back up.
Right.
You know, I mean, like you said, you were thinking about doing, you know, these auditions and things, and not hearing back, and how that can really bring people down. You know, you definitely have to have a thick skin sometimes.
Yeah.
And yeah, sports definitely taught me kind of that aspect of life, not just work and sport, but it's definitely stuff that I've carried through my life. And again, just the fact that everyone kind of needs help at some point.
Yeah.
You know, nobody gets there by themselves. There's going to be someone somewhere along the way that's going to help you where you're going to need help, that's going to give it to you. And that's, you know, maybe that's the missing piece that gets you to that next level, that next step. And that's definitely a mindset, and something that I've brought with me into what I'm doing now. And for this project, a big part of this project, Indie LA, is trying to help. You know, a lot of us are out here by ourselves. A lot of people are coming out here, like you said, with that mindset of, I'm going to do it alone.
Yeah.
And then they're going to get here, and then they have that harsh reality of like, okay, this is a lot harder than I thought it is.
Yeah.
This is more overwhelming workload that I can handle on my own, and how much extra time and energy that's going to take. Whereas, you know, networking and working with other people, collaborating, art is collaborative in general most of the time. And a part of Indie LA is just trying to help grow that community of independent artists to help each other grow, you know, to promote each other's work.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Aaron, so tell me about some projects that you're working on right now.
Well, I retired from skating just this past March. But while I was on this last contract, I started doing a lot of video and editing work for a friend's company that's based out of Michigan. They build custom camper vans for people.
Wow.
A lot of them are people who are selling their houses, moving into them full time because they want to work remotely, travel to the US.
Wow.
Just kind of a full lifestyle change. But this friend I actually met, he's a skater from France,
Small world.
who I know from competition and from skating, who knew I had a passion for video editing and filming video. So they started throwing me some projects while I was on board the cruise ship, and they really liked my work, and that's kind of transitioned to me kind of heading up their marketing side of the business full time.
Okay,
So
awesome.
doing a lot of video promotional type work for them, and another travel company they have coming up in the works. But I'm trying to go to LA once a month now,
Yeah,
at
yep.
least. I always kind of knew I'd want to come back here at some point. I think it's just a really great place to be for collaboration, creativity,
Yeah.
and to get going on some more film-based projects.
Yeah, it's all of that time spent in traffic that it gives people, a creative mind, like, I don't know what it is. It's that the air pollution, like creates those beautiful sunsets.
I was
those
gonna say it's something in
backdrops.
the air, but we know what's in
Yeah,
there.
no, yeah, yeah. So why Indie LA? Like why this project exactly?
Well, part of it kind of ties back to what we were talking about with making it in sport.
Okay.
Just those people that have helped me along the way to get to where I have been
Mm-hmm.
in sport, and now kind of taking that into this new industry, knowing how many people there are, independent artists, people like us coming out here who have that mindset of like trying to do it by themselves.
Right.
And maybe getting out here and just feeling alone and getting lost, and like in the end, like just kind of petering off with their talent and ending up just taking a job wherever because they have to pay the bills, and kind of losing their dream that way. I feel like that happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I wanted to create a project out here that kind of helped bring people together, helped the artists to collaborate, to promote each other.
Yeah.
To have just a community to kind of throw ideas bounce off ideas, talk to each other, feel like you're not alone, have people to collaborate with, to work with on projects, to help you with your projects. So I knew I wanted to start something like that. For me, it had to be LA. That's just this is the place that I kind of wanted to be, which kind of sparked the passion for me, wanting to do film. So I wanted it to be out here. And then also just with what I'm doing with the marketing stuff right now, and trying to build a show series off of that, interviewing people and talking to people and hearing their stories has been really rewarding. And I think so many people have great stories and things that they can share about their experience coming out here and their pursuits that could we can share as a community and help grow. And that's kind of what brings us to the podcast here.
Yeah. That growth is what it's all about because, like you said, you can try to go it alone, but that connectivity, that network is what I think strengthens a community. It's what strengthens you yourself, like as an artist, no matter what it is you're doing. If you're in food, film, music, art, they're all related in a sense.
You've been out here 6 years now.
Yep.
Engaged in the community, doing all these different things. Talk to me a little bit about what you're doing right now. And after 6 years, do you have any regrets coming out to LA? Would you have made a different choice looking back?
Yeah. I don't know if I'd have any regrets exactly. There are some things that, I take that back. There are definitely some things that I wish I would have done differently.
Sure.
Right.
A learning curve.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a huge learning curve to moving out to a new city, a new experience. Currently, in addition to performing the saxophone on weekends, I'm starting to develop as a DJ as well in weddings. I'm doing some production work. I work for a production company, running soundboards, recording live shows, editing podcasts, editing live shows. I'm also composing some trailer music. So I've kind of got my hand in like a few different genres.
Yeah, you've really diversified.
Yeah. I'm getting my ass kicked though, to be honest. There's a lot on my plate. But I know that for a fact, my preparation for one thing has kind of led to the next. Without me really knowing that it was coming, I'll give you an example. I've always like prepared myself for gigs or for saxophone, and I've been caught off guard plenty of times. And the one time that I wasn't, I brought my own mixer, I had my own cables, things that, that you should already know to bring. It's something that I kind of had to like learn on the way.
Like what you as a professional showing up to a paid gig.
Yeah.
Should have a general expectation and know what you need to have just in case.
Yeah, exactly. So my sort of checklist of items has like increased like over the years. and it's something that has helped me stand out a little bit, I think. Being prepared for one wedding, performing as a saxophone, led me to a connection with a DJ. And so now I'm working with their company in preparation to join their roster. So it was kind of my preparation for this led to this opportunity. That's exactly how I got on the ship. My preparation with sight reading music, with performing on the spot, playing the other instruments, all of my college experience led to, getting that job. And that job built our connection, right? That's how we met.
Absolutely.
Having all of your tools ready, having everything lined up, it's going to help you stand out, I think, a lot.
Stand out, and it's just opened up all these extra doors and avenues.
Yeah, definitely. It's opened so many opportunities for me. Yeah, for sure.
Just that showing up prepared, knowing what to do.
Yeah.
Where you need to be, what you need to have can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And building a relationship with, who you're working with, who you're working for.
Yep. Exactly.
When the idea for this project came up and I knew I wanted to come out to LA, I knew it was going to be a lot of work. I knew I wanted to partner with someone to help kind of supercharge this thing, grow it as fast as possible, and just really collaborate with creatively. Just that meeting with you, working with you on the cruise ship 6 years ago, you were the first person that came to my mind. I knew you'd been out here grinding for the last 6 years.
Yeah, thanks.
And was super excited to pitch you the project and really excited now to have you on board.
Yeah. What we're trying to do as a network for Indie LA is we're trying to make these connections and have these shared experiences with like-minded individuals, I think.
Yeah. So if you're in LA, if you're coming through LA and you have any talents, projects, passions, stories,
anything at all.
Yeah, anything.
You're a musician, you're an artist, you're a chef, you're a podcast engineer, any sort of thing. You're a model, you're an actress. You do multiple things, multiple trades, whatever it is.
Yeah, give us a shout. We'll get you on the show. We'd love to hear from you.